2, 1, go.
I'm Drift, Lucky Walker Kid. Let me tell you what I did. I made a promise, then I hid. I'm Drift, Lucky Walker Kid. I'm Drift, Lucky Walker Kid. Let me tell you what I did. I fell off a bridge into a light beam. I'll share it with you too. I'll get it right. I'm Drift, Lucky Walker Kid. I'm Drift, Lucky Walker Kid. I'm Drift, Lucky Walker Kid. Welcome back. Musical Chairs Ozmozezz live book reading. This is the 8th episode. Chapter 1 continued. The date today is July 25th of 2020. I'm Drift Lucky Walker Kid, and we have Faith Keeper behind the camera. Say hi, Faith.
Hi, everybody.
She does a great job, doesn't she? She even makes me look good. Hard job. We have the old painting going to be changed to the new painting today. Welcome back. We're Lucky and Faith. We have a lot to share this week. This is the most exciting part for me and Faith from here on in. We are up to the point where I am sharing what happened to me in a step-by-step sequence of events. I will read for you right after I read the definition of osmosis. One more time. Just one more time. Because I ended the last episode, last week we had the garage sale. We did pretty good. Got rid of a whole bunch of things. Right, Faith?
We sure did.
She was great. She cleared out the shed. I now have a shed to hide more things in. Right, Faith?
No more collecting stuff.
Anyway, I'll read the definition. I did read it at the end last time, but we're back to a new episode, so we'll just read it again here. It's Ozmozezz, spelled O-Z-M-O-Z-E-Z-Z, pronounced Ozmozezz. And here's the definition we came up with. Osmosis is the tendency to receive divine knowledge, usually from a bright white light to help us pass instantly through a semi-permeable veil or membrane into another dimension. This alternate dimension is where the solutions from divine knowledge concentration is higher, thus equalizing the lower concentrations of divine knowledge within each of us to equalize either side of the semi-permeable veil or membrane, and sometimes allowing us to retain some or all of the experience and knowledge when we come back to this reality, to our current life. Have you had an experience with osmosis? I made a promise to share my experiences that I learned through osmosis. Osmosis is the name I use, and it is linked to osmosis. In osmosis, a liquid is filtered through a membrane, and the water that passes through becomes free of particles because they were captured by a membrane. The process is called osmosis. In osmosis, we have a spiritual experience, and our body is left behind. Our light spirit merges with the bright white light, and we are able to filter out and retain the knowledge of the experience after passing back through the veil or membrane of light and into our light self, like water does through the veil or membrane. We're going to capture some memories, and not all of them. Some aren't going to make it through, some are. Just like the little particles through the membrane in the water osmosis example. I noticed there wasn't a word for it, so I came up with this. The definition would include separating from our body because we are spirit within our body at all times until we have to leave it behind. This matched the membrane and the particles left behind osmosis definition the best. While in that dimension, and when I traveled back here to usually forget what I remembered or what I experienced. So I just wanted to have a word to explain all this stuff and the courage to share it. I know a lot of people might not believe what I'm saying right now, but that's okay. I'm sharing my acquired knowledge from the bright white light to let others know that we automatically free our spirit from our body instantly so that our life goes on. I have been in the light and back in this lifetime several times. I have been in other lives and experienced the very same thing, and we know what we are. I know, Faith does too, that we are eternal. We are a light spirit that creates its image on an earthly body to have an earthly experience. I realize that the bright white light and my experiences are the most important issue to share with others. When I share, I fulfill a promise that I made at the Train Trestle as a 14-year-old boy. I made a promise at 14 years old because my life after death experience woke me up to another dimension within reach of our current dimension in an instant, and it's time to tell others why I made the promise. It is because I had an unbelievable experience. As a teenage boy in Mound, Minnesota, it is because I have had more of the same experiences. At 14 years old, I fell from a train trestle, and this is what happened during my near-death experience, or what they call NDE now. It used to be life after death, but it'll probably change again. First, I was surrounded by and then enveloped by the bright white light. This is the cover of our book. And this is the train trestle, my rendition of the train trestle. I painted it so that we could show you what happened to me. But I was up. This is me. Notice the resemblance in our clothing. I was up here, like this, only I was up and inside the timbers, up inside here. And when I was crawling out, I fell backwards, head first. I'll tell you a little bit about it here. This is what I have written for you. I used to climb up and stay under the railroad tracks within the timbers of this train trestle. This is Lucky in my hand. Lucky fell backwards and into the light from this train trestle. The train trestle is still there today over the Seton Channel of Lake Minnetonka. I was 14 years old at the time, and our country was celebrating our 200th birthday, or what we call the bicentennial celebration. I would climb into the timbers and stay there until the train went over around 4:30 every weekday. I did it to overcome a fear of mine. I was afraid of bridges. I would hear the train's whistle announcing it's coming closer and warning the drivers on the road it was about to cross. It was 2 blocks away west of the train trestle when I would hear the whistle, so I could kind of tell and gauge where to be. I knew I had to kind of hurry up and get under there because you don't want to be up on a loose spot. The whole thing kind of moves. In fact, when it was 2 blocks away and coming closer, you could actually feel the ground tremble as it came closer. And first it was like a vibration, and then it would literally tremble. My adrenaline started pumping every time. It came closer and closer, and the trestle began to vibrate, readying itself for the daily run. I braced myself every time. As it went overhead, I would look down, because the train drops material constantly, so you don't look up. That's my point. I learned that myself, so I can share it. The noise is deafening as well. The whole train trestle is rocking back and forth ever so slightly to the vibration of the train and the weight of the train going over. I would yell and scream out what I was happy, sad, or mad about. The train, the noise, the vibrations, and rocking all started to go away as the caboose passed by overhead. Clink, 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 clink. The strong metal sound was the result of tons and tons of weight going over the slight bumps of the railroad tracks. I loved it. Like the ending of a great song. It just kind of kept fading out, so I just sat there and really liked that. That was a cool sound. I would stay up and inside the timbers because I would contemplate what I was going to do next. I decided I was going to move out of my mom and stepdad's garden-level apartment on the lake and live right over the lake, right here under the trestle. So, I bought garage sale dishes, silverware, pots, pans, spatula, everything I thought I needed. I had 2 paper routes for money, and I had good grades to pass in school. I was almost old enough to get a job. No one would miss me. Mom and stepdad would probably like it since they tried it a few times to get rid of me before. They used to leave me in places and forget I was there. I began to climb out of the train trestle timbers. It was hard and it had a difficult component. I had to climb out feet first. Lucky. Train trestle. Feet first, not head first. So when I climbed out feet first, I climbed out like this. So I was at a bit of an angle and climbing out. And right as I was at a certain spot, I had to let go of one timber and grab another. And when I did, I fell backwards. Like that. And went down. Let me put him back though, for now. I missed the timber and tottered backwards. I tottered a little back forward, but it wasn't quite enough, and I went backwards head first to the ground, just like I showed you. I braced myself, I closed my eyes, and I knew what was next for me because I was up high enough above the rocks that at least I'd have a broken neck. But this is what happened. I fell backwards from a railroad trestle head first. The last thing I remembered was losing my balance after not grabbing the timber. I teeter-tottered back and forth for a precarious second, and then I saw the ground below, which was jagged rocks for the shoreline, and I knew I was about to hit it quick. I braced myself for the impact and prayed. I closed my eyes, and that's when I noticed that time stopped. Everything stopped. Bear with me. Don't laugh too hard right here. I'm being serious. Time stopped. There was no time, and I was floating in between my body, falling and above it. I was floating in an empty space, but I was held from every direction in place. I couldn't move. As I looked around, and I was surrounded. I realized I couldn't see and was just sensing it. More happened to me so that I knew time stopped, but I didn't know how. I was held in place. Again. By an all-powerful source that surrounded me. I was separate from it, yet within it. I was very afraid at first and started to panic. As soon as I started to panic and get more anxious, I was noticing that there was no way out of being held in place because the force enveloped me completely. I could communicate with this enveloping force, and it was trying to comfort me. It emanated an all-loving energy of trust, comfort, and that it would never go away. I trusted the force of light a little bit, and this force enveloped me completely. I was in the bright white light, instantly. At first I could see through it, like it was a cheesecloth veil made of light. I was in great awe. I was in the presence of the bright white light and was humbled beyond belief. I was awestruck by the live light force, that there was no time and that I was being held by the bright white light, but within a veil. This veil of light, I have to explain to you a little more. I could see my surroundings through a very white veil, and it really was like looking through a cheesecloth, like a cheesecloth curtain of light, so like it was made of light. You could see things through to the other side and in your area, but it was like I was going into another dimension, and thus in osmosis, it's the veil or membrane. That's what I'm trying to explain. Everything was light when I looked through the curtain of light. The water was light, the bridge, the rocks, the trees and shrubs. It was like just after being struck hard in the face. At first I saw stars like you do after being hit hard, like I just explained, but the stars floated in and out in mid-air and all around me and like started spinning around into little pixels. And suddenly I was like enveloped into like a big tunnel of light. I know they say the tunnel. The stars made up everything though. The tunnel, everything I saw, the veil, everything, even me. Plants were made up of different light pixels. Rocks were made up of a little different light pixel. The plants were made of different pixels, but everything was light. Trees, shrubs, everything. Rocks even. Everything was made of light. I was being held firmly enough, but I was still getting anxious, afraid and alerted. I forgot all about the ground and the rocks below though. I was in awe, but afraid too. Now, though, not because of the rocks, but because who was holding me. But suddenly I accepted where I was in the veil of light. Instantly the following happened to me. A huge weight evaporated from me, and I think it was my body. I felt safer than I ever did before, and I liked being held firmly and lovingly. It was like the more I allowed what was holding me to love me, the more I could and was able to feel love. The love was unlimited for me to take in. I took in as much love as I could for the first time since my birth here. I couldn't believe all the love that had been around for me. There was love in every breath I took and in every exhale. Love and light was all around me, and it makes up everything. I was filled with love and light from the bright white light, and it set me free from my earthly body. I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back, that's what actually happened as I reviewed it. It happened so fast, though, I was unaware, like I said, until later. That's a good way to put it. Everything was just happening as soon as I understood it. It would be happening. I left my body, and then I went out of my body. Like I said, I was a light, and I was floating around out of my body. I could see things from above, even though I'm hanging upside down from where I fell. My point is that I can see like I am now looking at you from my point of view, not like if I were upside down. even though I was upside down, still hanging there through all this. I was afraid of landing and was assured I was safe within the light by the bright white light. Then I darted around by the townhomes kind of to the north of the trestle. I looked around and saw the two girls that just moved in, but they couldn't see me. I left the townhome area and went back to the train trestle bridge I fell from and hovered above it again. I was wondering how I could do this. I left my hover position and flew under the car bridge to the south of the train trestle. I went all the way to the next bridge south that linked the island to the city we lived in. I could fly as light. How much time do we have, Faith?
You're at 15 minutes.
We'll do one more here and then we might have to wrap it up, I think. The veil of light became brighter and brighter. I'll go a little bit more. See how fast I can go without yakking too much. If you can see it, there's a blue line here that goes around. What I did in the painting to remind myself when I looked at it was I drew myself as the light being that I saw myself as, and I was moving around so fast that I was actually a line, but I was more of a dot, like a light beam. That's thus the song, I fell into the light beam. Anyway, the veil of light became brighter. Then, as I am flying around, it becomes brighter and brighter. Finally, the veil of light becomes blindingly bright. That is why I call it the bright white light. I was blinded by the presence of the bright white light. I was held and comforted by the bright white light. At this point, I knew I was okay, and after the bright white light knew this, I went through it like a tunnel of different light. I went very fast and was guided and protected the whole way I was in the light. The energy changed from like a purple to a blue, and I could feel and sense that I was going from place to place. And then all of a sudden I was in this beautiful place. It was pure love, pure beauty, and everything within this place was light, including me now. It was pure love, deep, beautiful colors. Everything was alive. The sky wasn't just blue. It was like an electric blue, and it had depth. Even more dimension, I guess would be a good way to put it. The clouds were far more vivid, alive, silvery, and the whitest white I'd ever seen. And they were just constantly moving and flowing to the energy. The ground was beautiful with all the lush grass and flowers growing and trees and shrubs. The water sparkled and I knew I was in the garden. Everything was alive. The rocks, the water, the plants, and everything I looked at. I used to think it was inert material, rocks and sand and grass and plants. Oh no, they're quite alive. I stood there amazed at how everything could communicate with me. Then the bright white light began to converse with me, but not by talking. He just thought things, and that's what I did too. I could do the same. Same thing as the light did. That's how he talked. Everything talks in this dimension, but not when the bright white light talks. Everything was so much brighter, more communicative, and easy to get along with, and it's so alive with energy, and we're going to end there this week. Let me put a note here, Faith. I think we're getting close to 20 minutes, aren't we?
Yep, 18 minutes.
Yeah, and it's hot in here. We've got nice 90-degree heat here in where we live.
And we got the fan off, so
and
you don't
the
hear
fan's
it.
off, and so Lucky and Faith are melting. Thank you for watching the 8th episode of Musical Chairs Ozmozezz. We will have another episode for you next Saturday. We love it that you're watching. We really do. We know that a lot of people are watching. We can see the views on YouTube, and we really appreciate each and every one of those. If you want to subscribe to our channel and watch more, you can also select an extra option of being able to receive those in an email. I don't like that option for all my stuff, but if you would like that, that can be done. We've got it set up to do that. Or if you just want to like our video, if you like what you hear and watch and see.
Just a like helps a lot.
Just a like helps us a lot. Yep, that's right, Faith. Thank you for reminding me. We're going to turn the fan on as soon as we turn this off.
Thanks for watching,
right,
you
Faith?
guys.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We will see you next week. Thanks again for watching Musical Chairs Ozmozezz, the live book reading. I'm Drift Lucky Walker Kid.
And I'm Faith.
Faith Keeper, thanks. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. 2, 1.
Hey, I'm Drift Lucky Walker Kid, just letting you know that Tarot Faith Keeper is the one behind the camera. She is fantastic. If you ever need a reading, and you would like something that's very intuitive and connected to the esoteric regions of our world, Tarot Faith Keeper is very connected. Give her a shot on Tarot Faith Keeper YouTube. Thanks for watching. I'm Drift Lucky Walker Kid.
Well, thanks, Lucky. You surprised me with this little video, and I really appreciate your sponsorship.
Not a problem. She appreciates everyone that sponsors her, and I watch her
really
videos.
do.
Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Thank you.